Hi, and welcome along to AFTV News Daily. Good to be here this evening. I hope everybody is feeling good under the circumstances. And joining me tonight, I've got a very special guest. Graham is in the building. How you doing, Graham?
How are you, Robbie? Nice to see you, man. How are you?
I've been missing you, man. I've been missing our little tussles, doing the show, talking about tactics. When was the last time we spoke about any tactics? Because there's no football.
I know. I think the last one I did with you was about 6 weeks ago.
Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it?
How's me room? How's me technology? You keeping it safe?
Well, I'm sure it is. I mean, I haven't been to the office now for about a month. You know what I mean? Because we started working from home even before the lockdown started. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, I mean, it's crazy what's going on at the moment. But it is what it is, man. We just gotta give thanks that we're healthy at the moment and just stay in, as they're telling us to do.
Yeah, look, listen, before we start tonight, can I give you my condolences on the passing of your father? I know I messaged you last week on WhatsApp.
Thank you.
But I just wanted to say I'm really sorry to hear about his passing. And I think that I just want to say about it is that he will live on through you and Laurie and your other and your family. And he gave you a wonderful gift, the love of football. And I think it's right that you celebrate his life, Robbie, because I think it was a life well lived. And also congratulate you on the documentary on ITV because fantastic piece of work. I've watched it a couple of times. A lot of people thought it was going to be about Arsenal, didn't they? But it was about racism. And I think the message you put out there, getting the message out there that it is creeping back into football, I think that was what you wanted to say more than relating it to Arsenal. And I think it was really well done. Congratulations on it.
A lot of people that jumped to, I was laughing on the day of that. I was laughing on the day when it was coming out because I saw a lot of people jump into conclusions as usual. And I was just looking at them thinking, yeah, I'm not going to say nothing. You'll see when it comes out. So yeah, no, I'm glad that you liked it and it's gone down really, really well. I'm really pleased with it. It's just a shame that there's no football.
Yeah.
I am missing football, man. I can't. Honestly, I'm now starting to feel it.
32 days since the West Ham game. You know that?
Oh, it's unbelievable. And I was actually thinking to myself, right, because you lose track of all the days and everything. And of course, now we're approaching Easter now, aren't we?
Yeah.
So we're approaching Easter. And normally around Easter, there's a lot of games going on and stuff like that. And then you're starting to see around Easter time if you can make an attack on that top four. That would have been us, isn't it? Would have been looking at it and saying, well, do we have a realistic chance? If we win that game and that game, then we go into the final sort of, month of May. And then can we? All of that gone. I mean,
can we stay unbeaten? Because we're still unbeaten in the league in 2020. We reached Easter unbeaten.
Still unbeaten this year. Yeah, still unbeaten this year. But
in the league.
It's crazy what's going on. But listen, more important things on football, we know that. But yeah. I miss it so badly. But question I want to ask you today was this, right? Of course, with what's going on and the whole situation and that, there will be an end to this. And I'm confident that there will be a time when this ends. But what sort of condition are Arsenal going to come out of it in? Because we already saw today where somebody from the Premier League claiming that, if the league, for instance, didn't get completed, clubs could lose up to £1 billion. I mean, that's huge figures. I mean, lower down the football pyramid, you're talking about clubs that, could go out of business. But, £1 billion, that would have a huge effect on a lot of the clubs in the Premier League. How will Arsenal come out of it? Because for some clubs, you know what it's like. They say this, and I know it's never good to say these things, but out of these sort of situations comes opportunity for some when they've got money, and for others, obviously, just like it is for all of us, for other people, when the situation's finished, you can be in big problems with recessions and that. It's going to be a similar thing in football. How are Arsenal going to emerge from this whole situation? Are they going to emerge in a position where they can take advantage of the fact that there'll be a lot of teams looking to offload players that you could possibly get hold of? Or would they be one of those teams that are in the position that teams will be, swooping down on to take our best players? I mean, will we be able to keep hold of our best players? What do you think?
I honestly don't. I'll be honest with you. I honestly don't know. Look, we know that financially we haven't had the clout no longer of a big club. We don't act like a big club. So, and all the sort of like signs that I've seen coming out of the club is that we're not in a good position financially. So, will we be able to keep our best players? I honestly couldn't give you an answer, Robbie. I wish I could. We've got players entering the last year of their contract. We've got star players we're looking to obviously keep, and Aubameyang's in that category. I think Manchester United have been in a fantastic position. They are the richest club in world football. I think Stolzker's already come out and said that they're looking to take advantage of this situation. I see that reported. So they obviously could be one of the clubs that benefit out of this. We still are a big club, but we don't act like a big club, certainly when it comes to transfers. And what I've heard coming out of the club is that we're not in a good position financially. And we might have to be really smart this year. We might have to sell players we don't want to sell. We might have to look to recruit smartly in there to replace these players we have to sell. And we might have to really develop the younger players. So Arteta is going to, I think, have to develop the younger players and make them even better. The likes of your Sakas, your Martinellis, your Nketiahs, your Reece Nelsons, all these young players. Even Reece Nelson, who was out on loan last year, who will come back into the club. They're going to come back, and he's going to have to improve these players, because I've got a funny feeling that we're not going to be in the sort of position where we can go out and spend big money. We've got William Saliba coming back. If we could sort of sell one of our sell somebody smartly, and certain players are not going to want to go who are on big contracts, we know that. But if we could get make some money, sell somebody. I know you mentioned on your transfer show, well, that's not really a transfer show now, is it? A News Daily about Torreira. But we got 40 million for Torreira. Could we sort of invest that money in a decent centre half? I think you need probably a bit more than that as a good partner for Saliba. But I think that in answer to your question, I don't think we're going to be in a position where we can go out and there's no point start speculation. We're going to spend 60 million on that player, 50 million on that player. I think those days are gone. And I would say that the football needs to wake up. This is a real wake-up call for football. Football has been living beyond its means. When I say living beyond its means, the money that's in football at the moment is obscene. And all of a sudden, the things that I work in an industry, as you know, that I represent key workers. And my whole focus is actually on their health and safety. I'm not worried about sort of the company anymore, about them making money at the end of the day. It's all about working in a controlled, safe environment to protect workers. And I think football needs to take heed from the magnificent National Health Service, who basically are putting their lives on the line. We shouldn't be worrying about, can football still have this great big £1 billion, lose 1 billion, but can football still make loads of money? We should be this is a real wake-up call, I think, for the world. The greed in society, and I think football is in that area. People do think that, and I think that I just believe that it's not about can clubs sort of like make loads of money in the future. Football might have to look at itself. The Premier League might have to look at itself and start sort of like realizing that more important things in life.
Funny enough, I was gonna ask you, obviously, the pay cut situation, and we I was discussing it on the show that I did this morning, and I actually did a poll on it. I got the results of the poll. A lot closer than I thought, actually. Right now, we asked the question: do you think the footballers should take a 30% pay cut, which is what some government people are saying, and other people are saying they should do? 58% of people said yes, they should take a pay cut. 42% of people said no, they shouldn't have to take a pay cut. I mean, the arguments are from the players. And we had Kevin Campbell on the show last week, and he was saying, if I was a player, I wouldn't be wanting to take a pay cut. I'd defer my wages, but why should I take a pay cut? Is it going to where's that money going to go? A lot of players I've heard saying that. Where would that money go? You heard Daniel Levy at Tottenham trying to push through really push this. But where would that money go? If the money goes, I think some players are saying that my 30% goes to the NHS. Cool, I'll do it. If not, I don't know where my money's going. No, I'm not doing a pay cut. I'll defer my wages to help things out. I mean, what's your opinion on that?
Well, to be honest with you, first of all, I think it's absurd that government ministers are coming out putting pressure on footballers to take pay cuts. I think what my view on the industry is based on what the industry is, right? It is what it is, right? And there's too much money in football. Footballers at the top level pay too much money. That's just my opinion, right? But it is what it is. And you can't just change it overnight. Now, do I think footballers should take a pay cut? The answer to that is probably no. I think the Chancellor of the Exchequer could take a pay cut. He probably earns more money than anyone. He comes from a really wealthy family. You don't see sort of like all the politicians offering pay cuts. You know, they're the ones who keep voting through massive pay rises and denying NHS workers their small pay rises over the last few years. Don't see them coming out and offering pay cuts, do you? So no, I don't think football should take pay cuts. And I think their contracts are their contracts. Their lifestyles are structured around what they're going to earn in that contract. And I think we have to respect that. But my point is, moving forward, I think football has to take a look at itself, and I think this is a real wake-up call for everybody in the world, in society. You know, and I think that footballers are paid too much. When you see the wonderful work done by these NHS workers, they deserve footballers' wages, in my opinion. But in answer to your question, those footballers shouldn't take a pay cut. I sympathise what they're saying. They would like to see where this money's going. And if you could say it's going to the right people, maybe they could do that. I think Jordan Henderson was trying to get together a group of footballers to sort of like move in that direction last week, but obviously I don't think it got off the ground. I think the thing is, Robbie, I'm just finishing by saying that I think a lot of these footballers do give money away, do sort of like work for charities. Mesut Ozil, for example, he actually sort of like tries to put things back into society. They do their stuff, you know. And Arsenal even Arsenal, the Arsenal Foundation does massive work putting money back into the community. But in terms of whether footballers should take pay cuts, my view is that you know, they might be paying for families abroad who they might have paying off sort of like they've got sort of like contracts basically, and it's based on what they earn. And I think we have to respect that, whether we think they earn too much or not.
Yeah, I mean, you know, they've got agents as well. They've got, and like you said, are other people. They're not the only rich people around. Yeah. Are there other people that are being pressured into taking a big pay cut? You know what I mean? There are other people in other professions, like you said, that are earning lots and lots of money. Still probably earning lots and lots of money, but they are not being pressured into that situation. I do think, though, the footballers, the PFA and that, they could have handled this better. I think there's sort of silence on it. Them not coming out and sort of discussing these sort of things from early has really put the footballers in a poor position now. You know, we see the work that the people in the NHS are doing and all these key workers, and then you look at a footballer. And not only that, some of the footballers have not been painting themselves in a good light since this thing's been going on, you know, telling people to stay in videos. And then, you know, Jack Grealish, and then be out at a party and things like that, you know. So, but they're human beings, you know. It's a difficult one.
I just think when I hear the Premier League say that we could lose $1 billion, I thought, wake up. There's people losing their lives every day. Money is not an issue at the moment. It's all about everybody staying safe and getting through this. We will have football again. I don't know when, but we will have football again. But some people are going to lose their lives in this, and we shouldn't be worried about even talking about money. You know, and I get sick of it because I hear it every day with the people that I work with. You know, are so obsessed with money. You know, and I accept the fact that there's an economy, and I accept the fact that, you know, there's got to be companies at the end of this. I accept all that. But at the same time, it's more important. This is life and death here, I think, and I think football should step back. Really, I know we're going. I think you had the debate on who should win the league or whether the league should end and all that. But I just think at the moment, I just think we should park all that. It's just sort of like do the right thing, stay at home, save lives, help the NHS, and the quicker we do that, the quicker we can get back through that, Robbie.
Yeah, Graham. There's a guy here, Ali says. Graham makes some good points. We're all in this together. wealthy, privileged should learn to give back to the communities that prop them up.
It doesn't discriminate. This virus, Robbie, doesn't discriminate. We've seen that with the Prime Minister. I mean,
yeah.
I thought you were going to ask me to do a tactical insight tonight on the government's press conferences. I noticed they went with 3 up front to start with, but Johnson obviously got injured. He got replaced by I thought, but look, I mean, it doesn't discriminate. And the fact that I wish Boris Johnson a full recovery, obviously, and I'm glad to hear that he's getting better. I think, or he's improved. He's stable, but that just shows you, doesn't it? Boris Johnson, our Prime Minister, picked up the virus. It doesn't discriminate. It's important that everybody, no matter what field of life you're in, stays safe and helps the NHS. These people are heroes. And I can't emphasise that strongly enough. I see some wonderful stories, and the sad thing is some of them are losing their lives. And here we are, the Premier League coming out saying they're worried about losing 1 billion. Come on, get real. You know?
Inos says, big up Robbie, Graham and AFTV. Keep up the good work, Arsenal Gooners from Romania. And enough respect to you, mate. Keep those comments coming in. Loads of them coming in. There's this one, it says, BS, he says, Scotland have opted for crowning of the champions, no relegation, and the league reconstruction. I think I'm not sure if that's for the Scottish Premier League. I know there's talk of that in Scotland to maybe just end it there. But, could we possibly do that here?
Look, I would like to see the league played out to a conclusion. I've said before, I think if you don't do that, you run into all sorts of problems with litigation. Clubs sort of like will be saying, I would have been promoted, I'm going to lose this amount of money. Clubs who basically, there's a lot of people, a lot of clubs here will be losing a lot of money. So I think I'd like to see it played out to a conclusion. I don't know how that's going to be, but I just think that at the moment, I just sort of like see the most important thing at the moment is getting through this crisis. And I think we can have our debates, and it's good that you're doing the old quiz every day now. I scored really poorly today. I have to say.
How do you get on with the quiz?
Oh, blimey! I only got 2 out of 5. So
the answers will be there tomorrow. By the way, for anyone who
I didn't cheat. You see, I didn't Google it, but just 2 out of 5.
Well done in the spirit of it. But how every day? What is the next day? You get the answers. All right. So every day you get it, and then you get a new set. But yeah, today wasn't even that hard.
I know.
you would kill that, Graham.
I'm normally pretty good at quizzes, but I had a poor day today.
Okay. Grant says Rangers directors and players and Steven Gerrard and his team have all deferred their wages 50% voluntarily and using the furlough as well, so staff can get full pay and we don't have loads of money. So there you go. Glasgow Rangers there setting a good example. Again, what have you made of that? Tottenham and Liverpool.
Yeah.
Liverpool had to backtrack on it. We spoke about it yesterday, taking advantage of the government furlough scheme. A club like Tottenham who earns so much money, from they built a new stadium. They were planning all these different events and stuff like that. I mean, who over there was and at Liverpool? How were they going to take advantage of the furlough thing? I mean, that's crazy as well, isn't it?
It is absolutely crazy. And they're both in the Premier League. They're both in the Champions League final last year, weren't they? So, I just think that I'm glad that Liverpool did the U-turn. So I'm pleased about that. But Tottenham, and is it Newcastle as well? I wonder what our owners. Were they looking at that and thinking, "Oh, we better not do that"? I don't really know.
Well, I'm glad they didn't do it. I just wonder if maybe they had it in mind to do it, and then with obviously the backlash that those clubs got, they changed their minds. But the one thing that I have to say, I'm glad that we didn't do it because at least because I think it looked absolutely terrible. And then of course, Jose Mourinho having to apologise today as well because we've got this social distancing thing, and he's out training, with Ndembele. I mean, what's going on over there?
I know it was absolutely unbelievable, wasn't it? I put a tweet out, didn't I? Sort of like he says they were social distancing when the training, and you could see that they weren't. I mean, the only social distancing they've done is from trophies. So
Exactly.
that I put that out as a tweet today. So so I just think it was terrible, and the fact that they had to apologise just shows that it was wrong. And at least they come out and apologise. But do you know what? A minister in Scotland who basically told everybody to stay inside, kept going to her house, has had to resign her job.
Yeah, saw that. Yeah.
So and I think obviously it became a distraction from her job. But you've got clubs like Tottenham sort of like apologising as well, and fair enough. I'm not saying that they are running the country or anything, but I just think it sets a terrible example. They should be setting an example. People look up to their football clubs, and it sets a terrible. I'm glad it's not Arsenal doing that anyway.
Thank God it ain't Arsenal. Here Tashi says, Miss Graham's post-match analysis. And I miss that. I just miss any analysis right now. But yeah, of course we miss Graham's post-match analysis.
Yeah, I was gonna say to you that obviously I've come with a little bit of tactical thought tonight. And I know I was discussing it before I come on tonight about I think Arteta that next season needs to get the players in the structure of the team how he plays. He plays in a 4-2-3-1 shape, but when we're attacking, we're sort of like a 2-3 more sort of 2-3-5 formation, aren't we? And when we're defending, we sort of like the wide players drop back into a 4. The attacking midfielder pushes on next to a striker, and we're a 4-4-2. So when we talked about could we keep our players, whether we keep them or not, I want to see players come in who fit the structure. If we look at the signings, Robbie, over the last few years, we have bought players who do not fit the structure we want to play in. So I just hope that Arteta recruits smartly, gets players in that fit that system, and whoever they are, and whether we keep our best players or not, I just hope that he gets those players in to work in the system he wants to play. And we did see a structure in the team last year, the way he had us playing. But I just don't think he's got the players yet to play the way he really wants. And I think
who would you move out this summer? If we could move out certain players so that we can make way for players that are going to fit the structure, who would you get rid of?
Well, I think who I'd want to get rid of, he's not going to be able to get rid of them because the money they're on, they're not going to want to go elsewhere.
So we know that, but who do you think? Who would you get rid of in the ideal world?
Well, in an ideal world, I'd want to get rid of.
Never have an ideal world again, but
in an ideal world, I'll give you. I want to keep. No, in an ideal world, I think that. Look, I think. Do you know from your contacts? Are we keeping Ceballos? First of all,
I don't think so.
Because I would like to see us build. I would like to see us build a midfield around Ceballos, but to have that, he needs a real physical presence next to him. And I think that's why when you come out with this morning, you were talking about whether the club were going to look into move Torreira on. If they were to do that, we could get somebody in, a proper DM. And I know we can't afford the guy at Atletico Madrid, probably partying. He's probably going to sign a new contract anyway. But if we could get a DM in, a real physical guy who could eat up the ground, and we could build sort of Ceballos as a midfield orchestrator. The way he was always progressing, passing at the end of the season. I think Mustafi, Xhaka. I think Mustafi, Xhaka for me, players we could move on. And I honestly think that Kolasinac.
You give me 2 players. 2.
You want 2 players? I've given you 3.
You've only given me 2 players, so we're right with everyone else.
Pardon?
I said you've only given me 2 players there.
I've given you 3. I've given you Mustafi, Xhaka, and Kolasinac. Look, you're trying to push me into say something controversial here, and you want me to say, I always remember when Xhaka first came to the club.
Making something controversial.
Listen,
talking specifically about you want a system. So I'm saying which one of the players that are there at the moment don't suit your system that would have to go. That's not controversial.
I can always remember when Xhaka first came and he gave away all those penalties, and I said that he's making lots of mistakes. You said, so you're saying he's a liability. I'm not writing your headlines, but you're saying he's a liability. You're trying to press me into that, aren't you?
Look, if you want, it does sound like a liability.
Yeah. Look, I would think that I would move Xhaka on. I'd move Kolasinac on. I would move Mustafi on. I would move Louise on. I'm trying to think. I probably would move Torreira on, to be honest. Of course, I wouldn't move Aubameyang on. But I think, I'll be quite happy to.
Hold on, wait a minute. Would you say Torreira as well?
Yeah.
Oh.
Because you know me. I thought he's been good for us, Torreira. But I want a more physical DM. I want someone taller, stronger, more physical. And I think one of the reasons he doesn't get into the team is that I don't think he's quite that DM that probably Arteta would like. But who's he going to get to replace him? That's the question. But if we had someone better, that would improve Ceballos, in my opinion. I think we need to sell someone to generate some money. So I'm looking at Lacazette, as much as I don't want to sell him. And there was rumours that Atletico are interested. I don't know if that's true. But we need to generate some money from somewhere, Robert.
Yeah, if you sold a Torreira, that would generate. I mean, the talk is Arsenal will be looking for 40 million. I couldn't see him getting that, to be honest, but they'd be looking for something around that sort of figure. So that would generate a lot of money. But then, it's the problem is then you still got to get people in, you know what I mean? And they're going to be a lot of money. And that goes back to the question right from the start of the show. Are we going to be in a better position or a worse position? Are we going to be able to take advantage of players that are going cheaper than they'd normally? Or are we going to be the team that gets picked off? That's the thing about it. I mean, I'd love to hear from people, leave it in the comments, but
I'll throw the question back to you then. You said to me at the start, Arsenal going to be in a position to keep their best players. Who are our 5 best players then? Who you think we need to keep?
Our 5 best players at the moment, obviously Leno.
Yeah.
And then obviously Aubameyang.
Yeah.
Lacazette.
Yeah.
What was that? 3.
3.
I put Saka in that category as well as good young player with. I'm talking about the players who would command a big fee here. Martinelli, and there'd be teams that would want to swoop for him if he was available.
I've noticed you haven't said Pepe yet, have you? I
was just about to say, obviously Pepe as well, but he's only just come. But they wouldn't be able to recoup back the 70 million that they've spent based off of just one season. So those are the players of value that are there, and I think too you could put Torreira in there as well because Torreira. Guendouzi as well, yeah. Guendouzi, what would you get for Guendouzi though? 30 million max, 25 to 30, because he's still sort of making his way, isn't he? So that's the thing.
I wouldn't want to sell Guendouzi, to be honest. Huh? I wouldn't want to sell him.
I'm with you. I don't want to sell none of those young players. I don't want to sell none of the potential. But I also feel that it's a bit suicidal as well to sell an Aubameyang because at the moment Arsenal need to get back into the Champions League before they start making big moves again for players. And the key to doing that is a player like Aubameyang, because even when you've got a team that's not performing as good as it should, he'll get you the goals. And that could possibly get you over the line. And if you take those goals out, you're then looking at, unless you replace him with there's 2 ways, I think, to replace an Aubameyang. You either, bring in a midfield player that scores lots of goals. So maybe somebody like a Coutinho, possibly that's been spoken about. But again, how much is that going to cost? That's going to cost loads of money. Everybody else would have to chip in and score Aubameyang's goals. And at the moment, when you look at Arsenal's team, you don't see that. You don't see how people are going to. I could see Martinelli coming in and getting a lot of goals, but not as much as that. But the midfielders would have to chip in with goals. And the midfielders at the moment don't score enough, which means you're going to have to go out there and buy a midfielder that scores a lot of goals. And that will cost a lot of money. So then what's the point in selling Aubameyang if, you may as well hold on to him and try and get into the Champions League? That's my whole thinking on it. Because until we get to the Champions League, we're treading.
Robbie, we said I think it was about 18 months ago, we had that conversation, me and you, about Gazidis and Wenger allowing Sanchez, Ramsey, and players to go into the last year of their contracts, Ozil holding the club to ransom, didn't we? We had that, and we said that's why the club's in the mess it is in now. It should never happen again, right?
Yep.
And here we are, 18 months later, debating the same thing with Aubameyang.
Again, it's happening again. You see there, Mo Lester, he says, would you rather keep Aubameyang or Lacazette? I think you already answered.
Aubameyang. I'd rather keep Aubameyang, obviously.
Yeah, but you just, as I said, it's vital to get into the Champions League, and I just cannot see how we do that when we sell Aubameyang. That means that basically what we're saying is, all right, we'll just stick with, mediocre Europa League for the next few years. That's what he's saying to me.
What happens, Robbie, if we don't sell Aubameyang? He goes into the last year of his contract, and we still don't get the Champions League.
If he's going to go into his last year of contract, it makes sense. You have to move him on. I've been saying all along, I'm just a little bit. What worries me with this whole situation is that we've heard Aubameyang say quite a lot of times that he's happy at Arsenal. He's a captain. And I don't know, I just look at him, and when he says he's happy at Arsenal, it looks quite genuine. It does look like he's happy here. So is it, and I've said this a lot, is it that Arsenal are the ones that are holding back and saying to themselves, you know what? We might need the money here, We might need, and I'm on about even before this whole COVID-19 thing, they're thinking we may need the money here. So
it could well be.
It's them who haven't come and given him a proper contract yet. That's just my feeling on it, because to me, we should be, if the aim is to get back into the Champions League, which for me, that has to be the first aim, then try and tackle the league after that. You cannot be selling your best player. It don't make sense.
Yeah, you got to remember, he's looking at Ozil on 350k a week, isn't he, as well? That's the other thing. That's the other catalyst here to what drives the agenda, is we've got a bloke on a massive wages. So if you're going to look to sign and nail down your best player, he's saying, well, if you've got Ozil on 350, I'm going to want to be up there with that. And the club are not going to be in a position to pay those wages, are they, unless we offload a lot to pay for that. So, I don't think we're going to. I honestly don't. I think that football is I don't think it's going to be. I hate to sort of like disillusion you with your transfer dailies coming up whenever they start. I just don't see massive transfer business at the moment in football. I'll be honest with you. I don't.
I've seen some of these mad figures being bandied around. This player for 90 million, 100 million. I'm like, where are teams going to get the money from? They're trying to furlough their staff, tell players to take a pay cut, tell players to defer their wages. Where are they going to get the money? I think there's going to be hardly any transfers, or they're going to be tiny. And for once, teams are going to have to rely on what they've got or their academies.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's the point I made earlier about relying on and developing your younger players. But clubs will have I think what the point that Solskjaer was making is, with these clubs having players going into their last year of their contract, they're the sort of players that are going to be targeted by top clubs. Testing out the resolve of various clubs with big players in the last year of their contracts. And I think Arsenal will be in that position with Aubameyang. I'll just throw this past you, and that is that, do you remember when Sanchez went into the last year of his contract a few years ago? And I can remember coming on AFTV and saying, I'm desperate for Sanchez to stay, looking at it, because I was so emotionally, I loved Sanchez, but the club kept him, and I was happy about that. But we saw what happened when they kept him, and that was the dressing room. The unity in the dressing room went, because a lot of players see him playing when he clearly didn't want to be there.
Well, I think Aubameyang's a different type of character to Sanchez. You know what I mean? I think he's a different type of character. I think if he stays, he would bring life into the. Whereas it was obvious, I'd heard a lot of things from people that also who said to me that even before that, Sanchez was a problem in the dressing room. You know what I mean? And had big bust ups with various different players, you know what I mean? So just this comment here, Bello, he says, Robbie, what do you think is our best CDM pivot? What do you think that is, Graham? Best CDM pivot?
Well, I thought that last year, I did think that the Xhaka, I was saying I want Xhaka to go, but I did think the Xhaka-Tobias partnership was working reasonably well, to be fair.
You finished the season well. When I say
but to me, I think that I would like to see Torreira Tobias. I think would be a very useful pivot. But last year I thought that, as much as I think the only reason why I thought the Xhaka Ceballos partnership worked well is because Xhaka was sort of able to sort of drift across to the left hand side and cover Saka when he went forward, and he wasn't exposed. His lack of mobility wasn't exposed in large spaces, and Ceballos was able to orchestrate from midfield with the way this team was structured. So it wasn't. It was the reason why it was such a good combination was because the way Arteta set the team up, the players were playing closer together. So under Emery, towards the end, there were massive gaps between our back line and our front line. But he got the team pushing up, really close together, or pushing back close together, so that the central midfield partnership, that CDM partnership, worked really well in that structure. So I think it was all about the structure. But I like Ceballos, but I just think he needs someone next to him better than what we've got to make it better.
Kino says, how about joining the race for Werner? It must be Timo Werner as a replacement for Aubameyang. If we get at least 60 mils for him, believe Werner has a 45 million release clause. Now, again, Werner, to me, is not as good a player as Aubameyang. No. Right? I know he's younger, but he's not as good, right? Yeah. We won't get 60 million for Aubameyang, not in the last of his contract. We'll be looking at probably getting about 35 to 40 million for him, right? And then Werner's going to cost more money. So that's why it don't make no sense to me.
Well, I'll tell you why, and also why it doesn't make much sense, Robbie, is that Werner's playing for a club in the Champions League. Exactly. And he's not going to want to come and play for a team who might not even be in the Europa League.
Exactly. We need to get back. We need to target getting back into the Champions League. Mbar says, big up, Robbie. I think at this point we need to keep all of our strikers if we still want to make it safe. Make it safe, or maybe maybe he's talking about, make it into the Champions League. We need to keep the strikers. He's right. We do need to keep hold of these strikers. We can't be just losing our best players. Simple as that.
I think the two things we need in this team, Robbie, and I don't know how we're going to do it, is we just need a real good physical centre half next to Saliba, and we need a really strong, physical, powerful central defensive midfielder. They would make our team. I'll tell you, if we could get those two players, and I'll be willing to sacrifice one of the forwards if we not. No, I'll change that. I don't want to lose Aubameyang, but I'm just saying, if we could get those two players, they are the key areas of the team where I think we're weak.
Yeah. Have you noticed all these people been trying to catch me out all the way through the show? If Aubameyang left, and let's say we had 100 million, who would you replace him with? Well, we're not going to get 100 million for Aubameyang. And Aubameyang at the age, if he was the same age as Martinelli, maybe. We're not going to get nowhere near that. So there's no.
I think people love this sort of chat, don't they? They love this sort of banter. I think it's so conditioned because you see it on Twitter all the time, and I think people just love talking about it without maybe expecting it. I just think it's sort of passes the time of day at the moment. With what's going on. But I'll be honest with you, we are not going to be in a position as a club to get players in from. We are an elite club. In my opinion, we are an elite club, but we don't act like an elite club. We haven't acted like an elite club, and we're not in the Champions League. So we have to lower our expectations. And I said to you, we did that show where we talked about Arsenal is in the rebuild process, and I think we have to accept that. So, and I think it's all about sort of like managing expectations at the moment and just trying to build up to get back into the Champions League. And to do that, we are going to need to hold on to our best players. I accept that, but the real one that is the worry is Aubameyang, because he's in that last year of his contract this year.
Isaac here says, if we sell Aubameyang, use that money to bring in a centre back, a holding midfielder, and a left winger, and use Martinelli as a striker.
No, I don't think he's. Look, he did well there last year, didn't he? He popped up with a few goals. He can play in that position, but no, I don't think we can.
All right. Mark is saying Icardi in if we lose Aubameyang again. Icardi would cost a lot of money, and he's going to want to go to a Champions League team. Yeah. What about this one, Graham? Benares says, who do you think we should sign, Graham? How about Ndombele? Seems to be having a rough time over there at Tottenham. So rough that, Mourinho's got him running out on Hadley Common. risking him getting coronavirus to get back into the team. Big reputation, but he's had a terrible season, hasn't he?
Well, he has, yeah. He get big money. So yeah. No, I wouldn't want him at Arsenal.
There was one comment I was trying to find here, right? Oh, here it is, right? This one here. Now, this is when I talk about being in a position to take advantage of other teams. I saw today that Leeds standing to lose about 20-odd million pounds. Or not even standing. They've said that they've already lost something like 24 million pounds. Their players have taken a pay cut and deferred wages and stuff like that. Now, Calvin Phillips at Leeds. I don't know if you've seen a lot of him. I rate this guy.
I haven't seen a lot of him, Robbie, to be fair.
Juicy saying he'd be a great replacement at CDM. Good vibes. He's good.
Yeah.
Again, the sort of player that you could possibly pick off.
Yeah. I'm not against that sort. The principle of that is what I've been talking about recruiting smartly. Getting players, good value for money players in those sort of positions. I think we're going to need to do so. I'm not saying I know the player well, but if we could, that sort of principle about sort of looking at clubs who might, even the clubs that go down this year, who eventually might go down. If we could get somebody, it's all about recruiting smartly. That's the point I'm trying to make. And I haven't seen him play, so I can't really comment on him as a player. But if you think he's a good player, Robbie, I ain't gonna argue.
I'm never wrong. Graham, who do you think is to blame for the downfall of Arsenal?
Wow. We'll be here all night. Look, I think I've gone on record as saying that I think that the last few years at the club, Wenger and Gazidis are responsible for where we are now. I have to say that. Wenger gave me my greatest moments as an Arsenal fan, and he's our greatest ever manager. But the way he managed the club over the last few years, the recruitment, and Gazidis as well, that they are the reason why we dropped out of the Champions League. Unfortunately, he did a wonderful thing keeping us in the Champions League all those years, so you can't hold it against Wenger, can you? But I think the way he managed the club, and Gazidis as well in those last few years, left us vulnerable to where we are now. And of course, you have to blame the owner Kroenke, who basically has been in charge of the club now, owned the club for over 10 years, and we've been going backwards under him. The win rate under him has been dropped quite a lot from where it was when he took over. He hasn't invested in the club, and so I blame a mixture of the owner and also blame the way Wenger Gazidis managed those final 2 years, and that has left us with players running down their contracts, poor buys. I think we had two great eras at the Emirates where we had missed opportunities. 2008, we should have won the league. 2015, we only bought a goalkeeper. If we recruited smartly that year, we'd have won the league. If we had won the league in 2015-16 instead of Leicester, we might have then been in a position to recruit better players, and we might not even be talking about being out of the Champions League now. Just imagine what would have happened had we won the Premier League that year. We might have brought players in, and the club could have been rejuvenated and not where it is now. But we didn't buy an outfield player that year. We only bought Czech.
I remember. I was going to do the last couple here. This one says, "Why not get a Turkish centre back? Well, that Sionku would have been not bad. He's looked good."
Yeah.
And a final one here. Easy Grammar says, "Finish the league on a game of FIFA 20. Players are home anyways, playing FIFA. We'd have a chance there of winning the league."
Well, I don't play. Everyone reckons that I play Football Manager or FIFA. I've never played Football Manager. I've never played
Football Manager.
Never played it.
I would have thought. I wouldn't see you as a FIFA guy, but I see you as a Football Manager guy. You'd be good.
My son plays FIFA, but I don't. No.
I wouldn't see you as a Football Manager guy. Although I don't know, you see the problem with games like Football Managers, you need a lot of time. Although we do have a lot of time at the moment, but I know that you're still working at the moment, innit? You're still out and about working.
Yeah.
Whereas, obviously we're stuck at home more. But I thought, I think Football Manager would suit you, man. You need to get on that.
Okay.
You might not like that, you know what I mean? Because you might not see you hardly at all. But it is a bit of an addictive game. But I'm rubbish at both.
Look, the one thing is that I really do miss the football at the moment. I really do miss the football. I miss the debate around the football. I miss going to the Emirates. I really do miss the football. You know, as you know, and I never got to do my bloody competition, did I? I wanted to do the competition on AFTV.
Yeah. Because you for your 50th
50 years following the club, I never got to do the competition.
Sorry, when
but
we come.
One thing I will say, Rob, is I really enjoyed that piece by Claude. You know, and Claude picked his 10 Arsenal legends. I would have picked the same 10 as him, virtually. Possibly an argument for Pires over Armstrong, but I love Geordie Armstrong. But I think that was the way Claude did that was really insightful, and
Claude knows his football.
The content you're putting out is really good. I would like to see you do your best ever Arsenal 11. Actually, that's one for you.
Okay, I'll do my best ever. Yeah. All right, I'll do that.
From maybe since you've been try and do it. What for the last? I mean, you started supporting Arsenal the year we won the league, didn't you?
yeah. Some fans. No, I only in the last 7 years. I heard somebody say the other day when I started.
What would you do? How long would you go back? Would it be from what 1980?
I'd go back to probably about 88. So I'd start. You know, putting in. And so it really, you know what I mean? It was a really hard decision, man. Because what you do in that, like the two areas which I'd really think would be a massive problem would be midfield.
Yeah.
Because some of the older, like I used to love Paul Davis, man.
I love Paul Davis.
You got Rocastle. You know what do you do in that midfield, right? But then and then up front, how do you leave that righty? You know what I mean? But then you've got
quite easy. You leave righty out. You put Henry and Bergkamp up front.
I know, but man, you know what? Righty gave me some of my. I used to love watching righty
Robbie, take the emotion out of it. Just pick what you think will be the best 11. It's not on who gave you the greatest moments. Because I have this argument all the time. So I would pick my 11.
Righty, man. I mean, obviously Henry and Bergkamp got to be there, but I loved righty. I might have to play 3 up front.
I had him on the bench.
But then I looked at Claude's thing and I'm like, I'm sorry, you can't leave out Robert Pires.
No, I agree.
Robert Pires.
Do you know what? I'll tell you what my 11 would be, and I can do it quickly off the top of my head. I'd have Seaman in goal. I would have Dixon at right back. I would have Adams and Campbell in the middle. I would have Kenny Sampson at left back. My midfield 2 would be Vieira and Brady. Vieira and Brady would be my midfield 2. Brady, a wonderful left foot. Remember, I started going in the 70s, and Brady was my idol. Brady was awesome. Vieira, one of Arsenal's greatest ever players. Rocky would be on the right. Pires would be on the left. And Bergkamp and Henry would be my front 2. Righty would be on the bench with the likes of Ashley Cole, Geordie Armstrong, Jans Lehmann, David O'Leary. So that would be my 11. So just repeat it now. I'm repeating my 11 now. You've got to come up with a better 11. Seaman.
Leave Ashley Cole. I know he's a bit of Seaman. Seaman
in goal.
Yeah.
Dixon right back.
Yeah.
Adams and Campbell will be my central half pairing. I would have Kenny Sampson on the left back over Ashley Cole. It's a difficult one, but I'll go with Kenny Sampson.
Yep.
Patrick Vieira.
Yep.
I would have Liam Brady alongside him in central midfield. I would have Rocky on the right. I would have Robert Pires on the left. And I would have Bergkamp of Henry. Get me a better team than that.
I think I could. I think my team would be slightly better than that. I'm going to put mine together.
You're right. You're right up front of the 3.
I've got a shoehorn righty in there one time. I've got a shoehorn him in.
Look, I love righty. Righty to me, and I think somebody said it.
Righty was Arsenal at one time, man.
Righty gave me some fabulous memories. Would you agree? Probably a better finisher than Thierry Henry, but Thierry Henry. Probably a better footballer.
Kevin Campbell said that last week. He said Wright was a better finisher.
Yeah.
Thierry Henry, you can't leave him out. You can't leave him out.
You can't. The trouble is,
wait a minute. Did you say you had Adams in there, right?
You're starting to sound like Spengler and Eriksson, mate. So
you had Adams in there. I didn't hear you say Adams.
I had Tony Adams.
Oh,
Adams and Campbell.
Adams and Sol Campbell. Yeah. Right, I'm going to work on my team. We come to the end of the show today. I'm going to do this last one here. Izio, he says, why are people freaking out at players' contracts? Both Ozil and Aubameyang's contract end at the same time. They don't. But Yeah, they do. They do. Yeah, they end at the same time. You are right. My apologies. The amount of money the board will free up will be massive. True.
I think the thing is, one thing I'll say back to that is, do you remember when Raul Snelly and Edu came in? They said that they weren't going to allow players to go into the last year of their contracts.
True.
So this is a test, and we'll wait and see what happens.
Things can be changed. Graham, thank you very much for coming on today. Really, really enjoyed it. We'll definitely get you back on again soon. I know you've been working very hard, you know, as you said, backing up a lot of them key workers. They're doing a great job out there. But thank you very much for taking the time out to come on today. I really appreciate it.
It's a privilege and a pleasure, Robbie. Keep doing what you're doing. The content you're putting out is keeping a lot of people happy, I assure you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Graham. And also thank you very much to all you guys. Don't forget, I'll be back in the morning where we do the early edition of this show. And also don't forget to check out our quiz. We have another quiz coming up tomorrow. We also give you the answer to today's quiz. So jump on the quiz. A lot of people loving that today. But thank you. Be safe out there. Make sure you stay inside, and we'll be back